Is it possible to apply for a green card when you are in removal proceedings? So, this is a scenario where you have pending immigration court and you want to apply for permanent residence. Can you do it? The reason I'm making this video is because I defend people in removal proceedings, and as a separate part of my business, I help people apply for permanent residence, usually through a marriage petition or other family-based immigration petition. So the question becomes, and I get this question all the time from my removal defense clients: if I marry a US citizen, can I just apply for a green card while in removal proceedings? Or can I stop my deportation proceedings, my removal proceedings, and then apply for a green card? The answer to both of these questions is yes, maybe. Generally speaking, USCIS does not have jurisdiction or the power to decide your green card application if you are currently in pending removal proceedings. That means if you have a future court date scheduled, or your case is just pending with no future court date, and you submit an I-485 application, an application for permanent residence, USCIS will probably at some point say, we cannot continue processing this application because you are in removal proceedings and we do not have jurisdiction to decide this application. There's one notable exception, and that is when you are an arriving alien. So what is an arriving alien? The definition of arriving alien is less important than the designation for these purposes. So on your notice to appear in immigration court, this is the charging document that begins your removal proceeding. It'll say whether or not you are an arriving alien. It'll be one of the first few things that they write at the top of the page. This is common when someone is applying to enter the US as a tourist and they're placed into removal proceedings in the airport. Like, for example, their tourist visa gets canceled, customs tries to deport the person, and the person says, I have a fear of removal to my country, I want to apply for asylum. In that case, the customs officer will schedule a credible fear interview to see if you meet the minimum threshold to apply for asylum. And then they'll usually issue a notice to appear in immigration court if you pass the interview. And that notice to appear will say that you are an arriving alien. If you are an arriving alien, USCIS will continue to have jurisdiction to decide your green card application even if you are currently in removal proceedings. And it's kind of a weird situation because if you qualify for the green card, down the road, you'll get the green card, but we'll still be in deportation proceedings. And then I'll show up to court afterwards and tell the judge, like, hey judge, guess what? We actually got our green card through USCIS. So can you please terminate these removal proceedings now? Because my client's clearly no longer deportable. He's legally present in the US as a permanent resident. Kind of a weird situation. Catches the judges off guard, but a happy outcome. Most people in removal proceedings were not charged as arriving aliens. So let's say you are in removal proceedings right now, you have an upcoming court date, and you want to marry a US citizen. Can you get a green card? Well, it depends on a couple things. First of all, did you enter the US with inspection? Were you paroled, or did you enter with a visa? If you meet one of these requirements, then the answer to the question is maybe. Let's go through that hypothetical real quickly. Let's say you entered with some sort of visa, or you entered without inspection and then you were subsequently paroled. And being paroled kind of fixes your illegal entry. Now we have proof that you entered with inspection. Now you find yourself in removal proceedings and you want to marry your US citizen girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. What would the procedure look like? Okay, step one is you would need to get legally married. We would file a family petition from that significant other, spouse. So the spouse files a family petition for you, I-130 family petition, and it'll take like a year to get approved or however long the processing times are at that time. Once it gets approved, we tell the judge, look judge, my client qualifies for permanent residence with USCIS. We would like to terminate the removal proceedings, close it out so that USCIS has jurisdiction to decide a green card application. Will you close the case out? And this is going to depend on government policies at the time and the Department of Homeland Security's policies, their position on whether or not they agree to dismiss or terminate the removal proceedings, or whether they will not agree and they want you to continue in removal proceedings. If they agree, great. We close out the removal proceedings, we file the I-485 with USCIS, and now you have a green card application pending and no more removal proceedings. On your way to a very happy ending. If they do not agree, then we have to file the I-485, the green card application, directly with the immigration court. And then the judge will schedule a final hearing date. And then the judge, not USCIS, will make a final decision on your I-485 application. If it's approved, you become a permanent resident and removal proceedings are closed out. If it's denied, you can very well receive a removal order. And then there's a whole bunch of other things we would need to talk about. That's beyond the scope of this video. We'll save that for another one. When you are in removal proceedings, marriage for the purpose of applying for permanent residence is heavily scrutinized. It is not a good idea to get into a fake marriage to try to defend yourself from removal. Your case will be scrutinized so heavily, and on top of everything else, if the judge determines that you entered into a fraudulent marriage, it is definitely game over with very few options to ever fix your status in the future. So definitely do not do that. Getting married is only a viable defense from deportation in some situations. And the main requirement is that the marriage must be in good faith. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of today's video. If you need any assistance with your immigration process, be sure to schedule a consultation. You can find my information in the video description below. If you're interested in family-based immigration, deportation defense information, or interested in staying updated on Trump's immigration policy changes, be sure to subscribe. I put out several videos a week, and I'll see you guys next time for another video.